Hello, second graders. Welcome to a new social study lesson. Please get your book Exploring Who We Are and let's start. We are in chapter 5 and this is lesson 3. In this chapter, first lesson we learn about what makes a hero, and we know that hero, the people, a person who does something brave and important for others. In the next lesson, lesson 2, we learn about people who work for justice, and we learn about people such as Martin Luther King, and also we learn about what he did for how he helped his people, and we learn about other heroes. Today we're going to learn about scientists that have made difference in our lives. So as we see in a picture, this is George Washington Carver, and he's a scientist. So we see in this picture is drawing that a painting for him, and he's holding plants. So let's learn more about him. George Washington Carver, scientist. George Washington Carver was a scientist. A scientist studied the world around us, things like animals, stars, and rocks. George Washington Carver studied plants. He wanted to help farmers grow better crops. He began teaching at a college in Alabama in 1896. He worked with farmers in the area. He studied the soil and the crops that grew. Carver made a wagon that he took from farm to farm to teach farmers. He taught them how to grow better crops. The local farmers grew mostly cotton. Carver wanted farmers to plant more than cotton. Other plants would help the soil stay rich. He got farmers to grow peanuts. Carver invented new uses for peanuts. He made peanut butter. He used peanuts to make medicines and shampoo. Sometimes farmers grew extra peanuts and then could sell them. They were happy to grow and sell something with so many uses. So as we all know that heroes make difference, help others, care, and we see them in the beginning of the lesson, and we saw people also have courage to help people and to look for justice to help other people. Now we also see heroes in science. So the scientists is people that studies the world around us, like animals, stars, and rocks. And we have George Washington Carver. He's one of them that he studies soils and plants, and he came up with ideas that farmers can make more money and can plant different plants that have different uses. All right, so let's see here. Look at the title. Who is the topic of this text? We know George Washington Carver is a scientist. Then circle words that you don't know. Reading the text, any word you think was new for you, you can just circle it. All right. Underline clues that tell you when George Washington Carver lived and what kind of work he did. So I know that we can underline that he lived in 1896. He was a scientist and he worked with farmers in his area. Carver invented new uses for peanuts. So this is all clues for what he did. All right. So what kind of work he did? He worked with farmers in the area, in his area, and he invented a new use for peanuts, and that's encourage farmers, instead of only planting one crops, which is the cotton, they start to plant something else, the peanuts. All right, let's go for next page. George Washington Carver studied more than peanuts. He also found more than 100 uses for sweet potatoes. He even used them to make candies and ink. He loved to come up with new ideas. So as we're saying, he was inventing new uses for different plants and different vegetables. And of course, coming up with new ideas make life easy for others and also helps farmers to make more money. And it was also useful for the soil. Carver helped farmers. He taught students. He was always interested in plants and learning all he could. George Washington Carver led an amazing life. The place where he was born was made into a national park. So as we see, this is George Washington Carver in his lab. So where he invents something, try something new, and see the benefit for this. Right? Let's go for next page, page 222, and see the activity we have. All right. Cause and effect. When you read, look for causes and effects. Again, the effect is what happened. The cause is what made it happen. So what happened and the cause, what made this happen. So let's see what we have here. The cause, Carver discovered many uses for peanuts. So what's the effect for this? Cause, that farmers plant peanuts and kept the soil rich. We can put this information down here. All right, so the cause, that Carver discovered many uses for peanuts. And what was the effect for this? Very good. Soil stays rich. Let's write this down. Farmers planted peanuts and kept soil rich. Right? So that's the first part. Now we need to look for more cause and more effect that's related to that cause. All right. So what happened? Farmers grew extra peanuts, and that's helped them to sell it and make more money and uses for different in different fields. So let's write farmers grew extra peanuts and what was the effect for this cause? They could sell it. Farmers sell peanuts. All right, because now there's more use for it, and they can keep their soil for their land, for their field rich, and of course, there are different benefits for it. So something else Carver did? Not just peanuts. Yes, sweet potatoes. And say that Carver studied also sweet potatoes. And when he studies the sweet potatoes, what happened? He came up with more than 100 uses for sweet potatoes, like when he came up with ink and candies made out of sweet potatoes. So we're going to write down that he came up with more than 100 uses for sweet. As we say, candies and ink. right? Let's see the next page. All right. We're going to read paragraphs and text with more information about cause and effects. So what we have here, soldiers who lost too much blood could be saved. That's an effect. We have to look for cause. And then we have another one, people stop dying from polio. We're also gonna look for this information by reading more about how scientists could, they had difference and change our lives. All right, so let's go here. All right, what differences have scientists made? How the world works. Scientists study the world. They do experiments. What they learn can help make life better. They learn new ways to build and grow things. They also learn ways that we can help people and animals live longer. Albert Einstein might be the most famous scientist. Einstein studied tiny particles that are too small to see with your own eyes. Particles make up people, plants, animals, air, planets, stars, and even light. Einstein became famous for his idea that particles are a kind of energy. Einstein's work helped us understand how the world works. It has also helped us explore space. Every cell phones and satellites works because of Einstein's idea. So with his help and discovery of tiny particles, Einstein helped people to come up with the new cell phones and satellites. All right. Still learning more about scientists and what difference they made in our lives. All right. Charles Drew and Jonathan Salk. In 1940, Britain and Germany were at war. Wounded and sick soldiers needed blood. An African-American doctor named Charles Drew studied the problem. He figured out how to collect blood quickly and safely from volunteers. Drew also figured out how to store the blood. His work helped start the American Red Cross Blood Bank. Around the same time, Jonathan Salk, a Jewish American scientist, was working to save lives too. A disease called polio infected a lot of people. Many people died from it or became disabled. Salk used dead polio germs to make a vaccine. He tested the vaccine on himself, his family, and others. It worked. The vaccine prevented polio. As we see in the pictures, we have Charles Drew and Jonathan Salk saved many lives. Today, blood is given to people who need it, and vaccines prevent disease. So people like these important scientists, they made big difference and big changes by inventing something or cure something that used to harm and hurt people. Rachel Carson. Rachel Carson was a scientist who wrote articles and books about ecosystems. An ecosystem is all the living and non-living things found in one place. Carson studied a new pesticide called DDT. A pesticide kills insects, but DDT was hurting people and animals. It was hurting the entire ecosystem. In 1962, Carson wrote a book about pesticides called Silent Spring. Carson's book made people think. They wrote laws to protect the environment in response. So this is also another example of a scientist that help people to have safer and healthier life. And of course, when people make difference, they inspire people to work hard and to continue with their experiments. Let's learn about more scientists. Thomas Alva Edison. Thomas Edison was an inventor. He is famous for inventing many things. He's most famous for inventing the light bulb, a movie camera, and a phonograph. Edison invented the light bulb in 1879. It was not the first electric light, but it was the first to be made in large numbers. Edison invented switches and other things to help lights work. Then he started an electric company. All buildings and neighborhoods could use electric lights just because people like Edison and the difference and the invention that they did. All right. Let's learn more about different scientists and also what they did for us and how they help us. Lewis Latimer. Lewis Latimer started working for Thomas Edison around 1885. Thomas Edison had invented a type of light bulb in 1879. The filament of a light bulb helps the light shine. In Edison's light bulb, the filament was made of paper. His light bulbs burned out quickly. Latimer figured out how to make the light bulb stay lit much longer. So he made filament out of carbon. This invention made light bulbs more useful. And this is a picture of one of the very oldest light bulbs. All right. Infographics. Now we have here few information about people. Maybe you heard about them, maybe you read them, maybe we covered them in our previous lessons. So the science of space. Scientists make a difference on Earth and in space. Science takes us far. In July 1969, American astronaut Neil Armstrong became the first person to walk on the moon. Science and a lot of hard work put him there. So of course, that was not easy. That was not something that they finished it or did it in short period. It took them lots of work and lots of time to come up with it. Scientists on Earth make space travel possible. Mei Li Chang is an engineer. She is helping NASA prepare to send the first people to Mars. Satellites. Satellites in orbit use science. They map the weather and transmit our cell phone's call. Your voice may have been to space. Are you curious? Scientists are. Curiosity landed on Mars in 2012. It's one of the 4 Mars rovers on the planet. Maybe you'll meet it on Mars one day. So this is all the information we have about scientists and what they did for us and how the changes and the invention they did changed our life. So let's go back to our book, page 223, and answer the questions we have. So now we're looking for cause and effects. As we have the information from the previous stories and information we read about scientists, we can easily fill here. So, for example, soldiers who lost too much blood could be saved. That's when Charles Drew found a way to collect and store blood. Remember? So you can always pause the video, go back, listen to the same information again, and find your way to get your answer. I'm going to help you with a few of them, and then I will leave you with the rest to figure it out through listening to the previous part. So you can just rewind the video and get your information. So we have the effect that soldiers who lost too much blood could be saved. That's when Charles Drew found a way to collect and store blood. Right? The next effect we have, people stop dying from polio. Okay, Jonathan Salk invented a way to prevent polio. So we can write it down here. Okay. So Jonas Salk invented a way to prevent polio. Okay, so people stopped dying or became disabled. We have also Rachel Carson, who wrote about the dangers of pesticide that called DDT. And because of that, people wrote laws to protect the environment from harmful pesticides such as DDT. Thomas Edison, we can be also having as another scientist that he did the cause that an electric company, he started an electric company, and because of that, the whole buildings and the neighborhoods get electricity. And then we have last one in our list for this lesson, Lewis Latimer. He invented carbon filament because, as you remember, the one that Edison had it was made out of paper and it would burn quickly. But Latimer invented the carbon one, and that make the light bulb last longer. So these could be also the next three parts that you need to fill it here for cause and for effect. As usual, you can go back to the video, you see all this information, take your time, find the information and fill it and write it here. All right. Let's clear this out. All right, let's see the next activity. All right. Based on what you learn and how have scientists and inventions made difference and made life easier and better and healthier for us, we need to answer these questions. So define or tell the meaning of what's an invention. So an invention is a new device or process or skill that did not exist before and make our life easier now. So when someone invents something, so this scientist, he has either a new device or a new process or a new skill that make our life easier. All right. Choose a scientist and tell how he or she made a difference. Use information from the text. So this one, you can just go back for the previous activity and you can choose a scientist that you really like and admire, or you remember what he or she did, and you can just write it down. So you can write about Charles Drew, that he found a way to collect and store blood, or you can write about Charles Carson, that she wrote about how dangerous the dangers of the pesticide that called DDT, and she enlightened and taught people that that was harming the environment and harming people's health. You can also learn and you can also write and talk about Thomas Edison and when he started an electric company. So this is all the scientists or any other scientist, Lewis Latimer, or scientists also from the part that we learn the science of space. So you can write about Mei Li Shang and what she did, and all the, or if you have, or you Google, or you like to write about another scientist, but it's better to go for what we cover, and you just choose one and write some information about he or she, what they did and how this became, they help other people and change other people's life. All right. Over here, this is pretty much the same. You choose also a scientist that we read about, and you write down or share this information with someone like a partner or so, that why this scientist it was helpful, or what did he or she did that it made different in our lives. All right. So that was it for today, second graders. I'll leave you to have fun and finish your activity. Thank you. Hello, second graders. Welcome to a new social study lesson. Please get your book Exploring Who We Are. We're still in chapter 5, and today is lesson 4. So, in the last lesson, we learned about the lives of some scientists and how are our lives better because of these scientists. So we know that how changes they had made it for our life, made our life better. And we have examples about people like they changed something for better for us, like Carlos. We have also Lewis Lepmer, we have Rachel Carson, and we have Thomas Edison. The people that invent something or change something made our life better and easier and healthier. Today we'll be learning about how athletes inspire us and also help us to change our life, how they motivate us to be better. So let's learn and start. Page 2026. So as we see in this picture, we see Vilma Rudolph, gold medal winner. We see, people winning. We see changes happen. We also see that wearing they are in the Olympics and they're winning medals here. So these are winner athletes. Let's start with the lesson. Changing what's unfair. Jackie Robinson was born in 1919. He was a great baseball player. He lived during a time when Black people were not allowed to do the same thing as white people. Robinson wanted to play Major League Baseball, but only white people were allowed to play. There was a separate baseball league for Black people, for Black players. He knew that was wrong and needed to change. Remember, that's exactly what Martin Luther King did when he knew that he was in college with white people and in his state, so he thought that this should be happening in all the states. All right. So over here, if we see the pages we have, the activity that we always have on our left says like circle the words that you don't know and what's this topic about changes that people make difference or make changes. In our story, it's Jackie Robinson, and also underline what was unfair and how it was changed. It was unfair that Black players cannot play in the league, in the major league, with white people or white players. All right, let's go for the next page. In 1947, Robinson became the first Black baseball player in the major leagues. He showed great courage. Many white people did not want him to play on a major league team, even to play on a major league team. Even some of his own teammates were upset. Robinson spoke out about unfair treatment of others. He helped work for equality for all people. Robinson helped inspire other athletes. When you inspire people, that you make them want to do something great. So you motivate them. You show them a good example that how can you make difference and change something that you think it's unfair. All right, let's see the activity we have. So as we have in our web below here, we have the main idea and then we have details. So the main idea that Jackie Robinson was inspiring. Yes. So what do you think? Let's talk about, was he a great player? So he was a great ball player. He was the first Black player in Major League Baseball. If we go back again in this information, you're going to see them all here. He had courage to change and to inspire people. And then he worked for equality. So that's right. Some of this information in these bubbles. All right, so he was a great ball player. What else can we say? He had courage. So he was thinking of other, and he was looking for how to stop actions that it was not fair, which Black players cannot play in a major league with white players. And he was also the first Black player in major league baseball. And then I can add more and say he worked for equality. That worked. Equality. So these are details that we can find it if you go back to your text in the first previous page, 228 and 229. You're going to see this information. So Jackie Robinson was inspiring because he was a great ball player. He was the first Black player in Major League Baseball. He had courage and he worked for equality. Right? Let's see. Page 231, the activity we have. So we're gonna read some stories about people, athletes that they make, inspire people and they make difference and changes in their life. So that would be the main ideas. And then we're gonna have 3 details to fill in our bubble with. All right, so let's go and read. All right. How do athletes inspire us? Jesse Owens, being a good athlete can be a challenge. It takes talent, hard work, and determination. So you insist to be a good person. You insist to be helpful and helping others. Jesse Owens had to beat other challenges too. In the 1936 Olympics were in Berlin, Germany. The leader of Germany did not like anyone who was not white. He did not want Wayne, a Black athlete, to be in the Olympics. So even international Olympics or international games, people were also being unfair. Wayne did not let that stop him. He won 4 gold medals. He set world record. The people of Germany cheered for him. Jesse Owens later spoke to many people about the challenge he faced in the Olympics. His story still inspires people today to try to do great things. So as we say, inspires me, make difference or changes. And here we see his picture, and we learn about the challenging that he faced when he wanted to participate in Olympic Games. All right. Let's learn more about athletes that make difference in our life. Jane Driscoll. Jane Driscoll is a great athlete who faces a different challenge. She's in a wheelchair, but she races in a marathons. Driscoll was born with a disease of the spine. She used crutches to walk, but then she had an accident. After the accident, she could no longer use her legs. A friend brought her to a wheelchair soccer game. Driscoll started playing. Coaches at the University of Illinois asked her to come to their school. She played basketball and joined the track team. Driscoll has won many races. She has also won many gold medals at the Paralympics, the Olympic Games for people with disability. And we have here a picture with labels with their special racing wheelchair that is different from other wheelchairs. Then we see the seat, the steering, lever to turn, and the brake, and how they support the racer and how it's safe for them to use. Okay. Let's learn about more changes and challenges that face people. All right, Nancy Lopez. Nancy Lopez grew up in New Mexico. She started playing golf when she was young. Lopez is Mexican American. Golf was not a game that many Mexican Americans played. It was not a game that many women played either. Lopez played on the boys' golf team in high school because there was no team for girls. From 1970s to the 1990s, Lopez won many golf tournaments. She spoke out for equality for women. She also spoke out for equality for Mexican Americans and other Latinos. Right? Let's see and learn about more athletes that they made difference and changes in our lives. Billie Jean King. Billie Jean King was a great tennis player. She won many tennis matches and tennis awards. King realized that women were not treated equally in tennis. They got less money for winning tennis tournaments that men did. She did not think it was fair. She spoke out against this unfair treatment. And in 1973, King played in a special tournament to prove her point. She played against a man named Bobby Riggs. He did not think any woman could beat him. King won the match and proved him wrong. So that's another challenge that another athlete faced. All right. So let's go back to our book, page 231, and see here the whip that we talked about, and we have bubbles to fill. So we have athletes can inspire others to do great things. That's the main idea. So what details we have? We can say that some faced challenges because they were just women, or other challenges because of that they have physical challenges. Some of them speak out for equality, and some of them work hard to be the best. Some faces challenges because of their race. So these all details that we got from our text. So let's write down. So we some of the details that some face challenges because of the race, also some face challenges because they are women. Some other challenges was physical, some speak out for equality, treated fairly and equally. Like Billie Jean King, that she was not getting paid enough like men because she was just a woman. Some work hard to be the best. And they still keep going with more challenge, but they always try to pass it and show better examples for others. So as we see, these examples we saw for people that they have different challenges, but each one try his or her best to get out of this and inspire us and inspire others. All right, let's clear this and see the next activity we have. All right. So let's go to page 232 and see what we have. We have defined what does it mean to inspire. So we know that inspire, to make someone wants to do something great, to motivate people, to help people to make changes. So what's inspire mean? Means to make someone want to do something great, to motivate people, to be a better example or an idol to others. All right. How can athletes inspire others by facing challenges? Use facts from research to explain your answer. This sentence frame can help athletes can inspire this sentence, athletes can inspire others when, as we see from what we covered and learned before, from facing challenges or discrimination or disabilities. So some of them have disabilities, or some of them was treated unfairly because of their skin colors. So this is what you need to put cover in this information. Just go back to what we read, look at few of the challenges that we read about it and learn about, and then you can put this information here. All right. Let's go for page 233. Choose one athlete that you read about. Give at least 3 reasons why that person inspires you. So we learned and read about different athletes. We learned about Nancy Lopez, Billie Jean King, Jean Driscoll, Jessie Wayne. So you can just choose one and why you think that this athletes inspire you, why you think it's the challenge that he or she went through motivates you or inspires you with more or positive feeling and action. All right, second graders, that's it for today's lesson. I leave you to have fun and finish your activities. Thank you.